Here comes the nasty gram.
Send a priest to save my soul, forget it.
Welcome back to the Nastagram RPG podcast. This is Empire's End.
Hi, this is Dean. I'm playing Lieutenant Commander Victor Argus, Operations Officer or Ops.
Hey, I'm John, and I play Lieutenant Commander Koro Randar, callsign Metalhead, Commander of the Air Group or CAG.
Hey everybody, I'm Matt. I play Gaius Loctus Vilfug, and I am the Medical and Personnel Officer, or MED.
Hey everyone, this is Dan. I play Lieutenant Junior Grade Nero Orn, Communications and Intelligence Officer, or COIN.
And I'm Josh, and I'll be your Game Master. This is episode 19, The Things They Carried.
All these hungry and green miles, forget it.
6.5 kilometers. That's the distance I can run in 12 minutes. I know that is objectively a short amount of time, but time always seems to slow down on those last 500 meters. It is, in my experience, the same as in battle. Once we sent our distress call, we had 12 minutes to hold off the FCF and their rebel support until we could extract. Under sniper fire and heavy repeater fire, Onasi and his comrades, led by our superior tactics, proved successful. I can only hope that the survivors will not be wiped out by the FCF and that Mentali isn't the only civilized concept they hold, for Onasi's family's sake. As for the crew, I feel that once things have settled down, a psyche veil must be ordered for Orn. Argus saved his life at the cost of losing Sella, and it doesn't seem to sit right with him. Slimu and Styx will be okay, but it'll take a while with our limited equipment on RACO Station. I am proud to say that under Argus's command, we have 0 casualties, but what is happening on this planet clearly is beyond the governor's control.
Welcome Out of the Jungle. Lesser known rock song. You know what's funny about The Doctor? That recap that you did a couple episodes ago, Doc, I loved it. You know, kind of talking about the Cleary culture and all this shit. And it's funny because back however many goddamn months ago, when I was making these characters as like a skeleton and writing out stats and abilities and giving like a little blurb, and thinking of like all the ways the different characters would be involved depending on which ones you guys picked. And one of the things I always thought about the Doctor was like, I mean, he has so many cool different skills, and like he's the personnel and liaison guy. So all these interactions they're going to have with the Cleary, the Doctor is going to be so much at the forefront of.
Of course.
Little did I know that a dozen and a half episodes or so would go by. But
You got to make sure your house is in order before you start mingling.
Right? He sure is good at throwing explosives at Kaleri. You got to give him that.
Yeah, I didn't want to
throwing
jump
or
too
kicking,
deep
for that
into
matter.
it right off the bat. You know, character development, I feel, is very important.
this is true. It's true. It's just funny. Games never quite unfold exactly the way you would expect.
Carried one to safety in your defense.
Yeah, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
And I would expect also things that didn't proceed as planned was that that little rescue trip you took back a couple days ago over that downed Imperial Army repulsor.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you guys are out. Obviously, we left off kind of right at the tail end of that hot extract, and which sounds like another bad Netflix fucking tactical movie.
It's definitely got Seagal in it, but only for like 4 seconds. They just sell it
but
with
his
him.
picture-
I don't know if it'd be
Yeah,
Netflix. I feel like that's a bit more of like an Amazon.
He's like goatee era, heavy set, fights from an office chair in one scene, and that's it.
Yeah, I think Matt's onto something. It's an Amazon thing.
Yep.
And they probably get that guy from Parks and Rec, who's like an action star now. Chris Pratt. So I'm going to kind of say a couple hours went by. Basically, you got pulled out of there, this task force that had been assembled. You get a better look at as you guys are flying back. I mentioned there's a handful of these NCC, these new Kaleri Constabulary Patrol craft, escorted by the heavier armed but a little bit less designed for the terrain and getting in and out of it. The Imperial Army repulsor vehicles. And then, of course, circling to the sides and overhead are a flight of TIE fighters and a section of TIE interceptors. Heavy force that brings you back to New Caleri itself, the capital, which in your absence has indeed begun to be fortified. Your last discussion with Redmare a couple days ago was about moving headquarters there. It seems like your little jaunt certainly expedited that. It feels like a completely different place as you come back into it. There is military presence everywhere. The Imperial Army obviously is set up there in garrison. The small starport has been completely militarized. You see some openings for civilian aircraft off to the side, but there are weapons emplacements. You see two of the ships from RACO are down there, the light transport and then also the light freighter you absconded off the Jin and Alcon much earlier on. And onto that was pretty quickly loaded any of the wounded. Doc, Lieutenant Harper was down there, and she kind of did a tag out with you. None of you or any of you hurt beyond stunned?
Just stunned.
Just stunned. So somehow managed to
Lost my favorite knife.
get out of there relatively unscathed. And you all have a transport that is spun up to take the last of you out of there. But before that's done, Cass told you that there's a meeting that needs to take place, and you guys move off to a side building. A couple NCC craft are parked alongside of it. You see Marines and the NCC who seem to be fairly well integrated on this whole mission and moving around as you get back there. And you walk inside, and Cass follows you in. It's the four of you and Captain Cass. You saw many other familiar faces outside, but inside are two faces that you have not seen before. There's a man, a tall Caleri man. They're all tall, this one especially so. Nearly 7.5 feet, advanced in his years, but with that distinguished figure that a lot of the older Caleri kind of have, almost gets more chiseled, more aquiline as they get older.
Did you say more aqualung?
Aquiline.
Aquiline.
Isn't that like an adjective
It
for
is.
like
That's the word.
those French cheekbones and shit?
I thought sitting like a dead duck.
Josh, one quick thing. What's sort of, I guess maybe not, maybe it's ironic, but all of this build up, all of this armament is actually not in response to what we went through the other week. It's just because he found out the Emperor's dead, right? The governor found out the Emperor's dead. And it has really nothing to do with what's been going on.
He didn't even know you guys were gone.
Yeah. So
it's clear that, a good portion of the Marine presence is down here. Not the majority, but obviously a sizable force. But the entire Imperial Army garrison has obviously been reset here. You see the governor's flag off on the other side of the compound. Right.
it's for your own safety, folks.
And a lot more of the NCC than had, they had always kind of had a presence inside the city, of course, but pretty heavily in this immediate area. But like I said, as you walk into this building, it's like an office to the side of one of the hangars. And as the five of you walk in, you four and Captain Cass, inside of these two figures, the tall Caleri man in the uniform of the NCC with eagle ranks on his collars, the highest ranking you've seen of the NCC. And alongside this NCC officer is another Caleri, a man in civilian clothes, simply but smartly dressed, even further along in his years, probably older than even Jevon, who, as you think of, you wonder if he's still alive back at the remnants, the wreckage of Kita. But another Caleri man standing there with his hands, long fingers clasped around each other as you walk in. And Captain Cass says, gentlemen, this is Colonel Trevano, head of the NCC, and Counselor Nalira,
Male and female, or two male? No, both males.
both males.
Colonel?
And he turns and introduces each of you. Colonel says, "It is good to meet you. It is very good to see you are all alive. I understand that all of your people survived the crash and its aftermath.
Indeed.
Good.
It's nice to meet you, Colonel.
I know you have much to attend to, and we will have more time to speak. But this is a meeting that is probably overdue." He looks to his side, and the other man there, the other Nalira says, "Yes, we as the council have not spoken to any of your representatives since your governor arrived."
Josh, do we know what this council is?
Nope.
Never heard of it. Cool.
Sick.
There are things of our people that we have kept to ourselves. It had seemed clear that your governor lacked the interest or the understanding.
And Commander Hethna?
We did not meet this Commander Hethna.
That is a fair assessment of the governor.
I understand you have become personally involved in the conflicts of our people. I will not spend all of your time, but let me tell you briefly and let you ask questions. We came to this planet, my people, those who wished to depart Kalir, mainly those who wished to return to our old ways. Our society had changed much, lost much. Our planet was used up, embroiled in the affairs of the galaxy and industry. Our culture, many felt, was being lost. So we came here. But we still wanted to maintain a life that was not ancient in our ways. We took our culture and we took the technology, and we found a way to maintain both. Those that wish to connect our people back, they are the ones that you interact with. They work on your station. They live in this city. They build and buy. The rest live the way the Kalir used to live. Things became challenging as they usually do. Criminals, pirates, corporations. It became clear that more than just those who wished to live this life were needed. And that is when we reached out to petition to rejoin or to separately join the Imperial Order. And so we did. There are those that do not agree. There are those that wish to pull back even more. But we have found a way to maintain the middle ground. And knowing the way things have worked in the Empire, and the one who was sent to be the governor, we knew he could not be a part of our problems. We know what the Empire has done before. Most of my people are happy living how we live with the connections we have. These resistors we wished to deal with on our own. But now blood is spilt on all sides. So that is the simple story of my people and my planet. I speak as a member of the council. The council speaks for all. we had chosen to join this empire, we will choose to remain in it as long as it is what is best for our people.
What is best for your people, counselor?
He looks kind of out the door around craft flying in and out. He says, freedom, peace.
It's what the Imperials are known for. How many do you represent, Counselor?
All.
Is there a numerical number?
I speak for Council of 5.
And they speak for all.
All that are here.
And
Not the ones that attacked us and fellow Kaleri. Who speaks for them?
We speak for all. It does not mean that all agree or that we agree with all. We make the decisions we must for the good of my people.
you said you found a way to maintain the middle ground. What way is that?
To maintain the connection to the stars, the goods, everything that we cannot make, the trade, the opportunities, those of our people, young, that wish to step out of our ways, a path for them, but a planet that is our own.
A planet that is your own.
Yes,
There's a large contingent of your people that do not agree with you at all. And they have a different idea for your planet than you do.
Colonel Tervano speaks up and says, with all due respect, Commander, you do not know what portion of my people or what numbers of the Kaleri are on what side. You do not know how many of my men have shed their blood to try to keep the peace and security and freedom that we've earned by coming here. I know how the Empire has dealt with these issues in the past. His eyes look up and he says, this captain of yours, he has shown that he can work alongside of us.
And so shall we. And with all due respect to you, Colonel, each Kaleri I meet, I wonder if they're holding a blaster behind their back. They've been trying to kill us for a long time. It seems we keep meeting the wrong ones. I hope today we're meeting the right one. And I offer a hand.
He says, I could say the same about many of the humans who have come here.
Indeed.
Many that sow discord in my people. He reaches out his hand.
Shake his hand.
I take a photo for the press release.
I smile. Nice work, Orn.
The
Hearts and minds.
Council Nilira says, we will meet again when you would like to discuss further this partnership.
Yes. One quick thing.
We will not speak to that governor.
By my oath.
I see. Excellent.
Colonel, how long did you know that the wrong-headed Kaleri were working with the terrorist organization, the Rebellion?
Definitively for an organization that you call a rebellion, not really at any time. Known that there were others that came here, brought weapons, weeks. We have been patrolling, operating, raids. We have taken care of much. We cannot affect much of what happens above this planet.
I know we've done a lot of rolling, but I would like to make a roll. Perhaps it's military imperial military. I don't know if that's something. that would govern this skill set or this knowledge base, or if it would be bureaucracy. But I want to think of a way in which I can nullify the governor insofar as proper communication channels. I know I can't unseat him or do anything like that, and I'm not really interested in running the entire planet. Just curious.
Governor Argus.
Sounds pretty good, actually. No. No, I'm not. I'm just saying. I want to know. I'm just saying I want to know if I could properly set up a communication or properly set up something to
If I were going to run the planet.
No. That if these people need to communicate something to the Empire, that they can come to me directly, and if Redmare goes to them, they can somehow not seem so obstinate in his face, because then he'll crack down and things will get ugly, and I can't control him when he gets crazy. So I can only try to direct him or misdirect him.
You think probably the best way to do that,
No confidence,
Would
sector
be-
command.
the thing that is the least risky move, is to coordinate through existing channels.
Like a Compnor officer. Wait a minute.
What about could they reach out to us theoretically always under the guise of needing to speak to RACO Station?
I have an idea.
Well, you think of a man that is already on RACO Station, that speaks for the Kaleri on the station and
Yes.
is connected back to the planet, Plat Montari.
Platt.
Yep.
Another thing I would like to do is I'm going to ask. I say, counselor.
Are your Imperial hackles up a little bit? How he discusses this partnership and their planet?
A little bit.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Just curious.
I say to him, counselor, if you have no confidence, I'll let that linger, in Governor Redmare, you need to make it known officially to me through proper channels.
What?
A formal complaint written to me, and I'll pass along to the appropriate authorities. That way we can make sure that our relationship is not damaged by his incompetence.
He is not in charge of you. Yes.
There's others in charge of him. Indirectly. I think of the alliance I'm going to have with Thorn.
He says, very well, whichever ways that your channels should work.
Bureaucracies move slow. Give us some time.
Bureaucracies move slow, but sometimes actions do not.
In the meantime,
He looks
anything you need. Anything.
mostly what we need is for things to not get out of hand. I understand you are important people where you come from, and that
I put my hand up. Counselor, I apologize.
your fellows of the Empire would do what they had to do to get you back.
If I may, I interrupt him.
He puts his hand out and he says, but this, what is in the city, what is around it, he says, this, we worry that you might think it is many, but it is very, very few who have sought action against your empire. We do not want their numbers to grow.
Very well. I ask you to define out of hand. You don't have to define it now. Get together with your logistics officers and you tell me what that means on paper, something actionable that I can do.
Kaleri, we are independent people. It is the greatest pride of a family to provide for itself and to be
Right.
able to choose for itself. Even the youngest in a family chooses their own path.
Of course. We
Kaleri-
do have a relationship, though.
Yes.
We were asked to come here.
Yes. And now we ask to keep this relationship, and we ask that you help to not grow the numbers that wish to end it. The colonel says, I have spoken with Captain Cass. He has fought in ways like this before. You can kill 10 and replace them with 100 for what you've done when you do it in the wrong way. The counselor kind of unclasped his hands and takes a deep breath and he says,
I do too.
We will not take more of your time. We are glad you are all safe.
One more thing. I'm not a diplomat. I'm a soldier. And we came here and these men tried to kill us and we killed them. There is no right way. There is only the way. And if we are threatened, we will respond. I cannot control how they're going to... I cannot control those people hiding in the woods who would do us harm and shoot us down. Almost kill him, I motion to Cass, who you think so highly of, and capture our commanding officer right out of the governor's mansion and put infectious diseases in his brain and return him to our station. You must expect a response when these things happen. We're not here looking for trouble. We're here to govern as we were asked. That is all. Your sovereignty is important to us. I have no interest in running this place. I just have an interest in keeping my charge and doing my duty. And that means keeping these men safe at all costs. I'm not here to create extra rebellions, and I'm not here to foment dissent among the NCC and its people. But I'm not going to lay there when they take their shots at us and kidnap us and harm us and kill us and shoot us. Or our NCC allies, for that matter.
Josh, I want to make a quick search check if I can. I want to see if anyone's watching this conversation.
It's a sniper.
Okay.
Fuck.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's a little kid.
Matt,
Uh-oh.
give me a cultures check.
Yes, you're the diplomat. Fucker.
25.
25?
I'm not. That's a good roll, Danny.
Mm-hmm.
You don't think like in a spying way.
Sure. Yeah, that's essentially what I'm
But-
looking for. Yep.
You notice that every Kaleri that you can see outside is very interested in what's happening in this room.
Cool. Good catch.
Neat.
Like
Cool.
the NCC that are walking by,
Mhm.
you know, any civilians that are working here, things like that.
I mean, this is like a big time guy, right? Standing in this place. Like, they don't see this guy. These two
Well,
guys.
the counselor is also one of 5
Yeah, that's crazy.
for a population that we know is way bigger than.
Yeah, it's
Any-
like fucking Obama standing in the hangar. People are like, what the fuck?
Matt, what'd you get on that? Cultures?
So this whole time this conversation has been going on, Gaius has just been sitting there watching their body language and motions, and with my 31.
Holy shit.
No, I'm
You
sorry.
broke me.
Actually, 33. I forgot to add my pips. My bad. 33.
This kid cracks
Did
the
you
end.
did you add your special ability?
Oh, that's another die? Yeah, so,
Yes.
all right, hold on.
That definitely applies in this.
Jesus.
Oh, that was
Coming up on
another
that 40.
6, so that's 39.
You
But
invent
we
the
won't
cloaking
explode
device.
that since...
Niner.
Okay.
Jesus.
It's
That's
insane.
a high-ass roll.
All right. So I'm going until something happens that changes this. I'm as a result of that roll, I'm going to obviously tell you a lot of shit right now, or some shit. But I'm going to give you plus an extra die on every interaction you have with this counselor.
Oh, that's sick.
Ongoing. All right.
Fuck
so
yeah.
make sure you take a note of that.
My guy rolled so high, he got a special ability. Holy fuck.
You saw into his soul.
Ting. Of shining.
This meeting is going much worse than your companions realize.
Josh, is there a way that I can position myself so that he sees me, but they're not looking directly at me?
Yeah, if you walk behind him.
Yeah, like kind of not, like kind of awkwardly. I mean, you guys are kind of probably standing somewhat abreast there across me. It is a little bit formal.
I stay still, but I try to catch his eye, and I look like with my eyes back at the populace of Kaleri that are like observing this
Okay.
interaction.
I mean, they're not close enough to hear.
Sure,
you
I'm
guys
just
talking.
trying to draw his attention to the fact that this has weight.
Okay, roll mind powers.
Okay, cool.
No,
Alter. Altar?
Is
Yes, altar.
there what's
I've got.
You'd probably have to
I've
add
got con.
control, though, with altar.
I've got. Let's see.
what do you have other social skills?
I have bureaucracy. I have languages. I have streetwise.
Do you have nice legs?
I got to give him the eyes.
The
I got-
old sexy eyes.
I have a 6+2 bedroom eyes.
I look at you as if to say.
I look him up and down.
Careful.
I'm going to say this falls under con. Some of the social skills in the system are named a little,
Oddly.
more specific than they are. So just roll con to see how what you
Careful. Like,
kinda convey.
careful. Careful here. Careful. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great roll.
I'm
baby.
conning.
20.
20. Okay. Dean, you get an indication from Nero that there's a lot of attention on this. You don't really know if it's hard to convey
Sure.
any more specifics.
It's
than
all I
that.
want to do.
Okay.
Yep.
You don't know if he means like be careful, like
I'll
people
take
are
it as-
listening. But
I know Orrin wouldn't interrupt this if that's not what he meant.
let me get back to Matt.
Sure.
So, Doc, you've been sitting observing cultures, language. That shit really fascinates you, and you've been very just. You've probably never been as immersed in a foreign culture as you were for the last 2 days with the Kaleri. And it's, the personal experience obviously was pretty fucking harrowing. But also to your intellectual curiosity, it's been firing up, and you're now watching this play out. And like I said, this interaction is going worse than you think your companions realize. Not disastrously, but the Kaleri are not expressive, as I mentioned, and especially a counselor is basically a politician. So he is also careful in his choice of words and how he conveys things. And you are afraid that he is getting the perception that they're headed for a typical heavy-handed imperial response. And you realize that everything he's saying is indicating that these people are about choice and about, independence or whatever, and they've made a choice. They don't consider themselves part of the empire. They consider that they have chosen, and that if things are no longer in the favor, they would make a different choice. But they're expressing that that this is the choice they want, but you feel that they are going to walk out of this at the best not reassured. Now give me another 40 on a diplomacy check. Everything Argus is saying is exactly what a military commanding officer would say in this situation. Usually military commanding officers don't deal a lot with politicians. And the Empire is not one that trains for counterinsurgency much.
Okay, so you said, so if I get this right, it seems like they chose to join the Empire, but they're looking at us to show some sort of strength against them?
Not against them, with them.
With them?
Well, but I mean, basically, what that the Kaleri are about, they're, like I said, a very kind of independent culture, and that they chose to join the Empire to kind of sustain the life they had on this planet, and they want that balance to continue. And as they were saying, they didn't want to tell this governor, and as much as they obviously relocated to the boonies, they're not all completely ignorant. And they know how the Empire has reacted in the past to any kind of dissent or insurrection. So, basically that's what they were saying about why they were handling things on their own, is they didn't want, some concerns about a few fucking rabble rousers basically to lead to strikes. Fucking TIE bombers just blasting into villages, which in turn would make a lot more people want to do that. And you think right now they're probably concerned that it could be heading in that direction.
The old America Middle East thing.
We have to get rid of the governor to restore confidence here.
Okay.
Sorry. Side.
Did someone just say assassinate the governor?
Wait a minute, new mission.
I didn't say assassinate.
Okay.
So I don't know if you're kind of taking a read on things, and if you want to disclose this after the fact, or if you want to involve yourself, step into it at all right now. Obviously, this was kind of a spur of the moment thing.
I mean, we're literally landing after fighting, and this guy's coming at me with his fucking stupid diplomacy bullshit. Fuck this guy.
Yeah. Do I get the feeling that it's kind of wrapping up?
Yes.
All right, then yeah, I'll kind of get up and come to Commander Argus's side.
Okay. They kind of the counselor and the colonel step forward, and they kind of walk up to Argus first, and both reach out and kind of stiffly shake hands and do the same kind of turn to each of you. So
I tell them there's a sensible solution here.
Yeah, I'll step up and Counselor, pardon me, I'm Dr. Vilfug. Pardon my shaky hands. They're normally more steady than this, but I guess the second time I've had to throw an explosive device in protection of ourselves. But I would like to assure you that as a member of the Empire, we understand your caution about our excessive force, if I could be so blunt. And I assure you that Captain Cass here is very well trained, and we would be happy to work with you and take care of the situation if you could just give us some time, formulate a plan, perhaps talk to the governor and see if there's any way that he could come on board or perhaps agree to different terms.
he says, we have
Victor
all
now looks quizzically.
just met. There is more time for us, and we hope that moves things in a way that is forward for us all. In that same time, others will look to advance things in their own directions. We hope that together we can move more soundly.
Nero walks up to the counselor and hands him a communicator. And he says, this has the communication code for an individual on our station. His name is Platman Tare. Should you need us, a direct line, this would be the best way.
He looks at it, he says, thank you. I know how to speak to Plat.
Can I retcon that to say that after we've actually said our goodbyes?
Sure.
Say it privately and aside?
Okay.
Yeah.
But that's how he
Sure,
responds.
that's how he
with that.
responds. Okay.
And you suddenly get the sense of,
He's probably been doing that the whole time. Yep. Okay.
but you guys finish off your handshakes to this kind of awkward fucking meeting right out of a tense life and death combat situation. They walk you all out, and Cass probably sees that you guys are bristling a bit, especially Commander, and
Victor,
he says quietly,
I light up a death stick.
these bantha fodder have had knowledge about rebel operatives on this planet for weeks and haven't come to us for help.
They didn't know who to speak to.
They called us in to protect their blasted planet.
And look who they got. I look back towards the governor's mansion.
It's less wanting to ask for help and more, I think, what kind of help we could provide.
This was a critical point for them. It may have felt like they sprung on us as soon as we returned, but had they not, what would our reaction be? We may be returning here for war.
Cass says, gentlemen, I'm sorry to throw you into that after what you've been through, but the colonel, he made it clear it was critically important to at least meet face to face with who is a leader of Imperial presence that is not He nods his head towards the governor's flag. That man. They seem...
Victor's eyes just look at the flag flapping in the wind, the governor's personal flag. Just watching it.
Claim to be so independent. They want to make their own choices. They call the Imperium to clean up their messes.
Yes.
And then shoot us down for the trouble.
Cass. Wilfug.
Sir?
Dreadful etiquette, I apologize. I crack a smile at him. And I say, what was your read on these people?
Cass is walking with you guys over to a hangar bay. You guys are flanked all around by Marines and NCC further back. They kind of stop at the gates to the hangar. The NCC do.
Yep.
So they are fiercely autonomous. They moved here to be free, but I think they realized their freedom came at a cost that they couldn't pay on their own, and that is why they asked for our help. It was their best option, but they crave autonomy more than anything.
You think they have buyer's remorse, Doctor?
I think we could give them buyer's remorse, sir.
Ah. A wise perception, Doctor.
The galaxy is vast, and they have a technology that we do not understand yet. There will be many who come knocking.
Yeah.
Do you think the governor's... I'll look up at the flag again. Sparkle of sun in my eye. Excess is causing them to have concerns? Or do you think it's our extraction from the jungle? What is it that's bothering? What has them so concerned? What specific action? That's why I asked that silly counselor to quantify this logistically instead of giving me vague terms.
Sir, I think it's both. One, the governor's incompetence is clear. And,
Sadly,
well,
yes.
second, what we did to that jungle. I mean, sir, I don't entirely understand, but those ravines, narrow, and the way those ties came in, there could have been a village inside of that fire line, just on the other side of the ridge that we never knew or saw.
He said everything outside this perimeter is hostile.
There's just like a fucking 5-mile burned scorched
Just an
earth.
island of trees.
So if you craved to be left alone to live your life by your own choices, but needed protection, and you asked for protection, and somebody came in and destroyed the next colony over, would you necessarily call that protected?
Of course not. Have we confirmed that that's the case?
This is just conjecture.
Matt, just because of that fucking crazy roll you made and your read you have on this, with everything you're saying, yes, but you definitely think that they are more concerned about future
action.
actions than what just happened.
Okay.
Yeah. I think
They see the power creep, is what you're saying.
yes, that if that was our response to us needing to be rescued, what if it was something larger? What
do they expect us to do? Sit there and die in that village? Be captured by the rebels? Tortured?
Two events happened independently of one another, but amplified the situation.
Of course.
The armaments of the city and the starport is concerning to them, I'm sure. On top of that, scorched earth.
Indeed. The governor's days here are numbered. We need somebody in command down here that's more competent. Perhaps the major. He seems like a stand-up fellow. But I'm not sure the governor's... What Wilfug is describing is precisely how the governor responds. He feels a little bit of a tickle, and suddenly he's brandishing E-Web repeating blasters on his roof. God forbid there's an attack on this starport. Then what?
And sir, if you do remember Redmir's first governorship ended in, well, rebel takeover. So,
Yeah, well, that's not going to happen here.
You guys are strapping yourself into the transport as you're talking. Again, just the four of you and Cass here, and the rest. Like I said, the others, the wounded were already taken away. So there's Marines and crewmen that are in here. Cass says,
Cass, what kind of damage control can we do here?
I mean, I found the NCC pretty good to work with, almost eager. Maybe from what Doc's saying, eager to minimize collateral damage. I'll tell you, if you're reading this right, Doc, well, if I was on the other side, my objective wouldn't be to kill Imperials. It'll be to provoke a response.
Of course.
These people are desperate. They destroyed their last planet. This is all they have now.
What about the ones who were fighting with you in the village? How did this all go down?
Yes, it was some kind of custom mentality, I believe they called it. We were guests. They took us in. And that rebel bitch came to their doorstep and brought death with her.
Sella?
Argus nods.
Did you take her out?
I believe one of the Cleary at least wounded her. She was a sniper. She killed several Cleary.
That's interesting. The GM gave you a choice to rescue Orn or take her out.
And I used my force point heroically. But yes, she had those other Cleary willing to fight their own just to get at us. For what?
I think what will be more effective, or what will go along with whatever customs they have, is that we focus on the rebels. Perhaps ignore the Free Calari front. Find whoever is supplying them with weapons, whoever is working with Sella or ordering Sella around. Destroy that command structure.
I agree. We're not equipped to run this planet, not from the RACO station and not with this crew. We have no expertise in this planetary management. That's not what we do. We manage the station. We manage starships. That's what we do. We're the military. We're not the civilian government. We're not even governors.
Yet.
I'll let you guys have that.
Nero says,
sorry, I do have an uncle that's a governor.
Hey, guess what? We have our own Council of Five now, too.
Nero says, I do think that we must know more about their technology. There's something that they use, something different. And if we understand it, we might understand the interest that it poses to those at large, specifically to the rebels.
Yes, why are they here? Why this planet? Can't be for just the fuel.
Doctor, you had a look, probably too close a look, at what those energy sources were. Can you describe them?
No. Yes. The frame looked standard, but the material inside, it almost seemed...
Matt, give me a scholar roll.
Ooh, fucking wicked smart.
Gotta find ways to use these crazy fucking skills. And Dan, why don't you...
I think I got scholar too.
You do, but...
Use something more technical?
Yeah, I'm looking if you have something in that realm. Yeah, go ahead and roll scholar.
Sure.
Is Anasi still with us, or did we drop him off in town?
He went up with the other wounded, unless you guys directed otherwise. But Doc, I assume that's what... did you hand him off to Lieutenant Harper when she took the other casualties?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I don't know shit.
My little green die is rolling like fucking fire. I got 3 6s on it for the wild die, so that's a 35.
You know everything about
Lord,
everything.
Shit.
I'm a fucking
All right.
super genius.
Here, I'll just take my fucking notebook.
Thanks. Just move the camera down a little bit. I'll just read right over your shoulder.
Can I institute, like, if I fail completely and miserably, I get character points? Can we go to a monster of the week system here?
Matt, I'm going to instead of just fucking regurgitating you for you to regurgitate it, I'll send you a little. I'm going to send you a nastygram. All right,
Ooh.
it's going to be via
But I enjoy the regurgitations.
email.
Yeah.
Baby bird it into my mouth.
Yes, baby bird it.
Excellent.
Really makes it so nobody misses it in my horrible version of telephone.
Okay, Matt. So I firing you off a nastygram. So take a peek over this. You guys are discussing as the engines of the transport kick on and lift you up and out of the starport of Nucleary.
Is it Imperial class?
And no, you fucking beef the only one you had. And actually, on that point, Cass says, by the way, we did recover the Lamba. It's in bad shape, but they brought down the freighter, got it back up under RACO.
Outstanding work.
I'm sure Roy will be happy that you're alive so he can yell at you for busting up his ship.
Question. Sidebar. I've said for 35 years, I think I've said lambda. Is it lamba?
I think I say Lambda.
Thought it was lambda.
I thought it was lambda too. I thought you said lamba. Or I thought you said
La 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 bamba.
It sounds like the Empire.
Tico sere, tico sere, a la
Yes,
ramba.
it's lambda.
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 Yeah.
I feel like I'm hearing it different. And I don't know if I'm just losing my marbles, but that's cool. Keep going.
As we're flying up towards the station, sitting next to the doctor, I kind of turn to him and say quietly, "Any news on Commander Ethna?" I look at him with no emotion.
You didn't ask.
You kind of see a dawn in his eyes that he kind of forgot about it for a hot second in everything that was going on.
Oops.
No. Where's Harper? Cass, where's...
Have we returned to the station yet? Or are we just en route?
You are en route
Are we going to get shut down again?
to the station. Roll initiative.
I know you said she came down and we handed off the wounded to her.
She went back up in the truck class. That freighter we got off the smuggler. They took the wounded back up.
Has there been any word about the commander's condition on the station while we've been gone?
Not that I know of. I mean, I've been down here the whole time, but I haven't gotten any updates.
Cass, how did you survive?
Well, you can go over the whole thing, but I wasn't at much risk. I was actually headed out and linked up Sergeant Vorda and was meeting up with this colonel at Vorda's insistence after we discussed a bit of things. And then we got some alarms. Went back out there. Turns out there was a Imperial Army patrol that had a vessel go down. It was non-hostile. They had to evac the crew and were apparently sending back out a wrecker, but
Any casualties?
negative. But the crash site, apparently they didn't destroy everything. It wasn't left secured.
I see.
It was after the fact. It might not have been irreparable anyway. Went down for mechanical failure. They got him out.
We were unable to reach you with communications.
I assumed you would have tried.
Yeah.
You guys weren't able to reach them because your comms were
Correct.
completely out. He said, I assumed from the the wreckage, at least what Roy said, every circuit in that thing was fried.
Ion cannon.
We were on the lookout for it on the way in. No sign of it.
Set up a trap then. They alerted us with that derelict vehicle, and then we fell right into it.
Yeah.
Matt, did you get that? Nope.
Yes, I did.
All right. So if want to ask the question again about the power source, or bring that back up.
Sure.
Someone asked the doctor about it, I believe.
Yeah, I also sent you a text, Josh.
I'm sorry. I don't keep my phone on next to me. Just kidding.
As you've kind of gone through the kind of line of reasoning to ask about the commander, Nero kind of processes the information that we haven't heard anything yet, and then says, "And what about the power cells of the Caleri? Can you remember them?"
Yeah. I'm not sure exactly. I can assume it looked like almost an empty power cell, was standard, but not necessarily ours. But it didn't have a charge like I've seen. It looked like, crystals. Different sizes, definitely not man-made. Organic, less cut. And when I watched Onasi handle them, and he said it, they seemed to fuse in the center before they detonated. And if I remember correctly, Onasi had to get approval to use them at the time. I think they're
Approval.
a secret. That could be why they're so separate, that resource. So this could revolutionize power technology. I mean, the size of that explosion from something that small, that's...
So whatever capsule these crystals are in is acting as some sort of containment field to stabilize them. And I'm imagining what the Caleri did was somehow cripple it or damage it so that the internal crystal structure would be compromised and unstable. But they have enough control to know how long, and clearly it's an extraordinary power source.
I recall the explosion.
I wonder if this planet was picked because they could be grown here.
It's a good bet the rebels know it. Why be here?
You definitely think you could learn a lot more if you had one, obviously, but from what you observe, Matt, it's about as much as you can say, and then anything else you guys
Speculation.
would be, speculation. Hearsay, Your Honor.
Are you telling...
Perhaps once we get back to the station, Onasi can tell us more.
Indeed.
We
A small price to pay for...
do share mentally.
I suppose there's that.
Small price to pay for, having most of his family and village murdered defending you. And then be interrogated.
My thoughts flashed to the interrogation droid.
I think
Gotta kill him
they're...
with kindness, bro.
I think the rifle cartridges use the same power as well. So if he has some on him, Randar shrugs.
If we've inadvertently stumbled upon one of the most profound scientific discoveries on this backwater world, suddenly things are going to become very clear for us.
Nero nods. And it makes sense that all of their structures are underground. It's close to the power source. Crystals being grown subterraneously, and it wouldn't show. The earth acts as a shield to hide their signature.
How has this not gotten out? How have we not been made aware of this sooner?
I think...
Redmare.
I don't think he's keen enough, is he?
No.
I think it's the Caleri.
Indeed.
It's the
And
fact
he-
that nobody on planet was smart enough to ask them.
Exactly. Randar, you know exactly what I'm saying. It starts at the top, doesn't it?
One thing's for sure, we'll have to keep this. One thing's for sure, we'll have to keep this quiet from Kuiper. If they get a sniff of this,
Indeed. Excellent work, Doctor. You're full of surprises, aren't you?
Thank you, sir.
If I was a rebel commander and I knew about this resource, I would do everything I could to ingratiate myself here.
The wild card is the Black Jesters.
Indeed.
If they know about it, they'll want to trade it.
That's Sela. She was able to get these people to kill each other. I suppose we kind of did the same.
It did seem pretty clear from what the like the council and the colonel were saying, the counselor, that there was some level of conflict even before the rebels got involved,
Mm-hmm. Sure.
and that they might have been lying. It's kind of hard to read them when they said they didn't really know much about these people being rebels, but just that there were outsiders that were involved that were stoking these things.
Yeah, this was discovered by accident by a rebel operative or even somebody sympathetic to the rebel that brought them the information, a traitor, caught wind of it somehow.
I think it's also has to do with the FCF, who want to change things, who want to be probably, have a greater presence in the overall kind of galactic affairs.
Sure.
Would reach out to people and say, "This is what we have to offer," versus the old ways that want to be more reserved, more balanced,
Indeed.
and find that middle way. So I think that it's some combination of that.
But how did the Empire not know about it if they're reaching out to people?
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like it would be, I would have thought the FCF would have been fighting to be, because they don't like the Empire, like they don't want to be part of the Galactic. They just want to be left alone and do their own fucking jungle thing and not even give a shit about this crystal. Like,
we might
you know
have
what I mean? Like, we don't have it, leave us alone.
And I don't know if I actually I don't even know if I mentioned this to make it clear, but I should have. When the counselor and the colonel were discussing the resistors, or as you know them, the FCF's motivations, it was definitely against the Empire and really against any outside involvement, including Kuiper, the Empire.
They're insular.
Right.
The FCF are.
Yes.
except that they're accepting help from
The rebels.
the rebellion.
Or a
Everybody's
small
got an extremist somewhere.
or a small contingent upon which has figured out a way to get close to them.
Right.
I mean, Sela seems competent enough to.
Yeah, you don't. I mean,
We don't know the
you don't know
relationship.
how they're
Yeah, we don't know the agreement.
broadcasting themselves.
Yeah.
You know, you know that Sela is a rebel operative. They might not understand her in that
Sure.
same way.
She's just offering
Help.
military support or support.
Could be anything. She could be banging the leader of the fucking thing. We have no idea. You know?
Probably what it is.
Taking that long cleric long.
I prefer if it's a little thicker than long. Knocking my cervix around. I do want it to fill me, though.
It was so matter of fact.
Do I feel you, baby? All right. Sorry. Strike it from the record. Or don't.
You guys, this discussion goes on, and you
Which one?
hear the comments.
That's really like the fucking, if you look at like the crazy like site map of Josh's master plan is just Sela banging the
It's just a web.
Yeah, it's just a web that leads back to that.
Hell yeah.
You hear the comm chatter as you guys are cleared to enter in the main hangar on the Imperial Navy side, and
Music to our
ship
ears.
goes through, airlock seals, plangs. You feel the weight settle onto the deck, and the ramp drops. Your Marine contingent kind of comes out down to the bottom of the ramp, and the 5 of you with Cass walk down, and immediate just cheers and rounds of applause. And you look around the hangar bay, and you see a good 60, 70 crew, Marines, pilots, crewmen. You see Lieutenant Ceslin, Roy up front, a lot of the other faces, and everyone is just giving a loud hurrah, and kind of quickly kind of move in, especially, Ceslin and Roy kind of push their way in pretty quick. You see all your seniors, see Lieutenant Sue actually hopping out of the cockpit of a interceptor
Nice.
that got locked in next to you. And they all walk over towards you. And Ceslin says, "Welcome back, gentlemen.
Permission to come aboard.
Commander, RACO station is yours."
Excellent.
Bandit, you're a little late. I call over to him.
He says, I figured it was just a ploy to give me an opportunity to get back in the cockpit.
Well, it worked.
Ceslin said technically I was the XO and shouldn't leave, but I said one of us should lead this mission.
Ceslin, one more order
Sir?
for you to give. Light duty tonight. Tell everybody to get drunk. I walk over to a fucking one of those water bins on the deck, and I wash the blood off my gloved hands. As these guys, I kind of step away and let them kind of take it.
All right. Roy finds, or Orrin, you find yourself face to face with Roy. He's standing there covered in grease and oil. You see him wiping his hands off with a rag.
Giant fucking boxer hands.
He slams his hand on your thin shoulder, and you kind of shatter. He says, "You look almost as bad as that goddamn shuttle they dragged up here."
Nero's nodding slowly. Well, we're both glad to be here in some semblance of order.
Well, glad to have you back. Why don't we drink to it? Get yourself washed up, and
I look for Thorn.
you heard the commander's orders.
Nero nods. I'll see you back at the cantina.
All right.
As I'm washing my hands, I motion him to come over.
Thorn. Okay. He was standing towards the back.
I give him one of these.
He walks over.
I'm washing my hands.
Jesus.
Fucking A. Take a character point.
Just think about all the fucking instances that Thorn interacts with.
3 things, and this technically isn't how it works by the rules, but take a character point, recover that force point,
Oh, shit.
Oh, yeah.
Whoa. All right.
and take a dark side point.
Ooh, baby.
Ooh.
All right.
It's a cumulative dark side point.
Do I have a 1 in all the 4 skills? I just try to move shit with my mind. Doesn't
Thorn
work.
comes over and he says, he pops to a position of attention.
At ease,
His heels
Lieutenant.
click. Sir, it is a pleasure to see you all back safe and sound.
Drying my hands. It is. It's a pleasure to be seen, Thorn. You and I have some work to do.
Yes,
We have a serious problem on the surface below.
yes,
And I need you to keep this secret. I require your discretion here and your expertise.
of course. I would be most honored to discuss reprisals.
So what, orbital strike and
I say our diplomacy is in great danger on the planet below.
Yes.
And there's an individual causing that disruption. You're going to see a formal complaint coming soon from one of the counselors of the NCC. Do you realize what that means?
Sorry. For those of you at home, Dean is continuing to pantomime washing the blood off his hands.
The entire
As
conversation.
he looks at me as Thorn.
Deep eye contact.
Counselors, you mean of the locals?
Their ruling council.
Well-
They decide for the planet.
Well, perhaps that's the perfect place to start with making an example. I understand these savages nearly killed all of you.
Yes, not them, however. The FCF. You heard of them?
Yes,
We'll talk. For now, enjoy the evening.
of course. And I hope you'll be joining us, sir.
Sure. I should dry my hands.
All right.
Nero's going to head back to his quarters.
Okay.
And he's going to kind of wash off the last few days. And then
With your left hand or your right?
yeah.
I mean, if you think about the 72 hours,
Yeah.
how many near-death experiences Orn in particular had.
Mm-hmm. And as
No
he's
shit.
like kind of wipes the mirror in front of him, he like looks at his hand and it's like just shaking. And he is going to take more than one sedative that the doctor gave him on the side.
Is there anybody in there? Just not if you can
And
hear me.
as he's drifting off in the chair in his quarters, the last kind of thing that he remembers before going unconscious is the commander stabbing that guy multiple times in front of him as he was kind of like lying there in the dirt.
And then those unemotional eyes panning over to you.
When I said it'll be over in a moment to the guy. So dark.
Whispered sweet nothings in his ear.
All right, that's a dark side point. I get it. You can't say it'll be over in a moment.
Oh, God.
That's so fucked up.
John, what's
Yeah.
Grandar doing?
He finds he found Bandit. He looks for sticks. And,
Are you eating
sorry
on the
So sorry.
microphone?
Sorry. No, I'm done.
Son of a.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Great. Toast.
to think I almost gave you a character point. Oh boy.
They're
Randar,
paying for it. You eat it.
Randar finds Bandit and the rest of the pilots who are in the Overwatch flight, and he goes, "Well, after action report in the cantina."
Sue smiles and good to have you back, sir. Hey, your money's no good tonight.
Sounds good to me.
Don't worry. I've been putting us on extra duty pay while you've been gone. You get swarmed by a mob of pilots and make your way down there unshowered, not cleaning, fucking
Yeah.
right
No,
down
going.
there, rounded drinks.
Yep.
Doc, what are you going to be doing with your return? You did convey a message. You sent me a nastygram about having the med bay put into lockdown. That was done.
Excellent. I think, Vilfug being part of, being around aristocratic society and upper echelons, he knows how important it is to keep appearances. So I think when he gets back and everybody's celebrating, he goes down to the pub, uncleaned, just like the regular old guys, the grunts.
The unwashed masses.
Exactly.
Second spit take
The
off.
unwashed masses. Fucking hell.
It has a drink, has a puts up a cheer to the people that came down and helped to rescue them, and then sort of in the midst of the celebration slinks off and goes to medbay to check on the commander, read up on med reports for the last 2 days, make sure that the wounded from our trip are being cared for, and I'd say he probably is having a PTSD moment of that explosion happening and getting pulled off that rock. And he probably isn't going to sleep and probably is not going to take any meds to fight it. He's just going to dive into work.
Like it.
Victor will head down later, a little late.
Okay.
Let them have their fun.
You will head down and have a moment with them?
Yeah.
All right. Well,
After I talk to Vilfug, after Vilfug retires for the evening, I'm assuming.
yeah.
We chit chat and I tell him Wolfug, you
Sir.
are an invaluable member of this crew. Don't you forget it. I appreciate everything you've done.
Thank you, sir. There's still a lot to be done. There's those that we brought up and the commander's situation with the new information we've learned.
There's at least 3 men that owe you their lives. I tap
Yes,
him
sir.
on the shoulder and walk away before he stammers on a bit. Because I know he's having a rough day. I leave him be.
Thanks.
All right. Nice work, boys. Character point apiece for those little little wrap-ups. So later in the evening finds each of you in your own place. Commander Argus,
I'm laying in bed looking up at the ceiling. Just thinking.
smoldering death stick next to him, perhaps.
For sure.
Two.
Cecilin crawling out of the bed.
Yeah.
Joking.
You look off to the side, your boots, gear. You note your eyes kind of drift over the empty knife sheath inside the boot. The scattered charts and reports, 2 days worth of standard plus emergency
Shirtless. Just
communication. Breathing that death stick in and just thinking of everything happening on the planet in your system. We see Randar still in the cantina. The crowd has dwindled down a bit. The representation of the CAG is probably at least half
And the
Or-
deck crew, the rest.
of the wing. Yep.
Yeah.
Largely wing things there, and a handful of Marines probably scattered around as well. Cass stuck around for a while, but not too long. You got the impression he might not have gotten any more rest than you all did, even if he wasn't in as much danger. And Randar's not dwelling on the bad moments yet. He's in celebrating cheers and stories and jokes being passed around. See Nero asleep. Not a peaceful sleep, but the deep, medicated sleep of a man afraid to face his own mind and his memories.
His legs going like this in the bed. He tries to fucking run.
And the doctor, deep, deep into the night, despite the multiple protests of Lieutenant Harper and any of the other crew that have come in and out of Med Bay, the doctor stays working, his hands cramping over keyboard and notes, and the slow, quiet beep of Commander Hefna's pulse sounding on the monitor. We will rejoin the crew of RACO Station next week, and gentlemen, while you're gone, I want you all to kind of do some thinking, because where we go from here, the next steps are going to be on you.
Emperor Vargas.
So do some fucking homework, because I don't want to.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Governor Vilfog sounds nice.
Let's go.
There you go.
Right.
concur.
There you go. Admiral Marcus.
Thank you guys for listening to another episode of Nastagram. We hope you're enjoying Empire's End. You know the deal. We're going to ask you to spread the word, tell a friend, post about it online, do whatever you can, ratings, review, everything helps. And get involved. Got a great community over at Facebook at the Nastagram RPG Lounge, or just pop over onto the website, nastagrampod.com, links to all our socials, and bonus content and more coming soon. Our intro music, as always, is by a Wilhelm Scream. Scores this arc are from both Adrian von Ziegler and Antti Marttikainen. We'll be back with another episode next week. Why don't you bring a friend?
That's nasty.